Ability Housing Association aims to remove the barriers that prevent disabled people from living independently. We work with disabled people to help them overcome the barriers so they can achieve their own goals and aspirations. Well, first of all, we provide homes because a home is the bedrock of living independently. So Ability aims to provide every person with a disability with a home they can call their own apartment with their own kitchen, their own bathroom, their own living space, so they have total control over where they live. And the second thing that Ability Housing Association does is that we provide support, care and support for people to help them overcome the barriers they experience. So we have teams of care staff who work with each individual, talking with them about what their aspirations and goals are, then supporting them to achieve their aspirations and goals in a way that is of their choosing. I'll provide an example that I've been using in some of my presentations here in Brazil of a woman called Glenys who used to live in a hospital. Her environment was where she was cared for 24 hours a day amongst a group of other people. Glenys is in her 50s. And when she moved into an ability home where she has control over her own space, then suddenly she started to blossom. She started to develop new skills because she found she had abilities that had been hidden and suppressed in the hospital living environment. But now she's integrated with the community. She has re-established relationships with her family who can visit her, they can stay with her in her home, and that's enabled her to develop her vocabulary and become more socially included and fulfill her full potential in life. When Ability was launched in 1999, we set our own agenda, and our agenda was to provide people with a home of their own. Not group living or residential care homes as in the past, but a new agenda which is about providing every person with an apartment, a home they can call their own, where they can have control. Usually professional bodies, professional organisations and individual professionals tend to focus on what people can't do. We define people by their medical condition. So we put labels on people depending on what it is that they can't do, what part of their body doesn't work properly. And we think that starts the process of creating disability. If we forget about all of the medical definitions and we see every human being just as a unique individual with abilities and not disabilities, we focus on what people can do, we find that people can grow. We set aside all the medical approach to disabled people, which defines them by what they can't do. And instead we see every person as somebody who has unique abilities and a unique personality to try and support them. The key component of independent living is the home. Everybody needs somewhere to live. And if their home environment is a place that restricts their opportunities for independent living, then they never get started on their journey of learning. So that is why we always focus on providing a home that is accessible, affordable, safe and secure. That we can offer support to people for as long as they need it. And it can vary. Often we find when people receive support to become more independent, then they need less support as they grow. They develop independent living skills, and when they begin to learn to do things for themselves, they need less care and support as time goes on. And sometimes that support can reduce to zero. For another person, it might be they will always need support throughout their lives, just to cope and be independent. But everybody's unique, and the support can be tailored and shaped to their needs for as long as they need. I was invited to Rio de Janeiro to speak at the Second International Forum on Inclusion for Disabled People. And that came about because a group of people from Rio de Janeiro came to visit us in the UK, and they saw the work that Ability did in the UK. And they said, we'd like you to come and talk in Brazil and in Rio de Janeiro about our work in the UK. And there's an institute called the JNG Institute, which was launched yesterday. I spoke at their launch event as well to try and provide support and encouragement so they can believe that they too can have supported living here in Rio, just like we have in the UK. I don't think it is possible for the UK model just to be picked up and put into Brazil. I think Brazil will have to find its own way because its culture is very different. In the UK we have we have expectations of the state providing. We've had a National Health Service and a welfare state since shortly after the Second World War, and it's very much embedded in the UK psyche that the state will provide for people in need. And I know that in Brazil, culturally are very different, and there's a stronger emphasis on family over here. So I think supported living in Brazil will have to be different from the UK. It'll have to be founded on family support, first and foremost. It would be nice to think the state can provide some support and financial assistance too, and I hope that will happen.